We're going to have a very, very fun evening today. Well, evening for those that are in the East Coast, I guess. We have a very, very nice, inspiring presentation from Todd. Todd is the, I guess, what's Todd's official title? And then we'll do an official introduction.
Product guy, product manager.
Product manager. So Todd is the product manager for AmaWaterways, and he personally takes care of some of the most exotic and very, very cool itineraries that AmaWaterways has, like the Africa one and the obviously Egypt one. And so we brought Todd on board today for today's presentation because he is the most knowledgeable person that we could find within AmaWaterways about these destinations and this. Obviously, you basically your responsibility is to put together these trips, right, for AmaWaterways.
Yeah.
Source the vendors and source the itineraries and so forth. Right?
Yeah, so, Carlos, he's what we call our exotic guru. So anything when it comes to a clear focus on these destinations that we provide, again, South Africa with their African safaris and BZ Queen, the beautiful AmaDada joining our fleet next year in September for the Nile, and Egypt, he is our man. So I thought it would be a great opportunity to have him collaborate with us on this presentation today to highlight on this wonderful experience we have beginning September of next year.
Yeah, exactly. So, and then we're gonna do some formal introductions. The schedule for today's evening is very, very educational. We're going to have Todd kind of guide us and take us through a virtual journey through Egypt and through the Nile with AmaWaterways, and then toward the end, about 40 to 45 minutes after, we're going to go into a Q&A session where we're going to be able to ask Todd a lot of questions about the destination, but also a lot of questions about AmaWaterways in general, questions about the relationship between Luxury Cruise Connections and AmaWaterways, if those questions arise, and also questions about the suspension of sailings and future cruise credits and all those sorts of health-related questions that I know are on a lot of our minds right now. So it's definitely going to be a fun evening. As I said, very, very, very educational, and very, very much looking forward to it. This is the first of two series event. We're going to have tonight's event focused on Egypt and the Nile and this very exotic trip that AmaWaterways has for the Nile. And then we're going to have a second event. Denise, what's the date for the second event? We haven't announced it yet, right?
Yeah, we haven't announced it yet. It will be for next week.
Next week. So next week, we're going to have another event with AmaWaterways, again with Todd and Herlin, where we're going to talk about South Africa and the BZ Queen, which is their AmaWaterways ship in the rivers of South Africa. And it's just an amazing, amazing exotic experience. So tonight is going to be all about Egypt and Nile, and then next week is going to be about Africa. And for those enthusiasts that I know, we have a lot of them in our database and who are guests and people joining us today. We are, this is going to be a very, very exciting evening because we're going to have people learn a lot and ask a lot of questions. We are going to allow a few more minutes for everybody to join us. I want to formally welcome all of you that are just joining us tonight. And then hopefully by 5:03, we're going to get started. We are expecting anywhere between 30 to 35, hopefully up to 40 guests tonight. So we're going to let just a few more minutes for everybody else to join in, and then we'll take it from there. Hello, Marianne. Marianne is joining. And so for those that are just joining, let me just say the following. You're going to see many of us at Luxury Cruise Connections are going to have this virtual background that Denise and I have, but you're going to see consistency with our names. You're going to see anybody that belongs to the Luxury Cruise Connections, which is us, is going to have @ Luxury Cruise Connections right next to their name. and Herlin and Todd, who belong to AmaWaterways, are going to have dash AmaWaterways right next to their name. That's how you're going to be able to recognize who all the hosts are. There's a lot or a few of our Luxury Cruise Connections advisors in tonight's event. And what you can expect is you can expect some of our advisors to greet you guys, welcome you, and say hi, and make, just put themselves at your disposal in case you have any questions, in case there's anything you want to ask. And then please, if you do have some questions, we have the chat box of this Zoom call where I encourage everybody to publicly ask your questions so that we can, obviously at the end, read every single one of those questions and make sure we get answers that I'm sure are going to be relevant for everybody. And what we're going to do, and I mean, what the event is going to look like is, just like our invitation said, it's going to be a 40-minute virtual presentation on the destination of Egypt and AmaWaterways in Egypt. And then we're going to have, toward the end of tonight's event, we're going to have enough time to do some Q&A session and be able to ask questions to our AmaWaterways representatives, Herlin and Todd. And as we have, okay, it's 5:03, and what we're going to do is we're going to kind of get started, and we're going to let everybody else, as they're joining the rest of the evening, kind of catch up wherever they are. Now, we are going to send a recording of this presentation tonight, of this event tonight. We're going to send it to everybody. During our event, during this event, we're going to be pushing some poll questions to all of you. Questions like, have you ever been on a river cruise, for example? Right? We want to get to learn a little bit about who joined the call, who's with us tonight, and understand a little bit of what type of questions we are going to be able to kind of answer toward the end as well. So please, as I said, feel free to just start typing your questions in the chat box, and we will get to every single one of them at the end of tonight's event and make sure that all of them get answered. So for those that just joined, please remember, we have a few of our Luxury Cruise Connections advisors in the call. You're going to notice that because it says dash Luxury Cruise Connections. From AmaWaterways are going to have a dash AmaWaterways right next to their name. Todd, Herlin, let's get the ball rolling. Why don't you guys introduce yourselves? Let us know who you are, what you do, and sorry, I'm going to mute my phone here.
We have a trivial poll question pop up already. So do we answer? Yes. All right, I'll get that answered there for you. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Herlin Ruiz. I'm the Business Development Manager for AmaWaterways, covering what is the Florida South Territory. Thank you, Carlos. Thank you, the whole entire Luxury Cruise Connections team, for this opportunity to showcase this afternoon something that we're all very proud and especially excited and anxious to get started, which is our Egypt program in September of 21. I joined the family 3.5 years ago after spending the majority of my career, that almost 25 years, on the ocean side of the business. And for those who haven't made that transition from the ocean to the river, folks, it is a quite refreshing experience, from the big capacity ships to the intimacy of these river ships that basically navigate you through these ancient rivers throughout Europe, South Africa, the Mekong for Southeast Asia, and again, new for Egypt in September of 21. So I don't want to take a lot of the flair. I want to have our rock star product manager here, Todd Ney, take the rock here when it comes to the presentation here for Egypt. So Todd, introduce yourself and let's start this fun show this evening.
Hi, everyone. I'm Todd Ney, and I'm the product manager here at AMA, and I'm talking to you from Los Angeles. So let's get the ball rolling. And the first thing I want to point out to you all is the location of Egypt, up in the northeast corner of the continent of Africa, Mediterranean to the north, Red Sea to the right. I'm also going to point out Israel, Jordan, and the UAE or Dubai. Those are extensions that you can do before or after our program. And then
just quick, are we seeing the presentation on the screen, guys? Are we seeing the slide?
No, we are not.
We're not.
Yeah, let's make sure we get the PowerPoint on there.
And Brenda, just so you know, I'm getting every question you guys are going to write in the chat box. We're going to address all those questions toward the end in the Q&A section. But please, 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 as we are sharing, this presentation, please type your questions so that we can make sure that we're able to address all of them toward the end. Okay, don't be shy. As you know, write your questions. We'll get to all of them.
Yeah, so let's make sure we share the screen on your end, and then.
Yeah, I'm trying to hang on a sec. What's going on here?
AV man.
I thought we were sharing it at one point. Do you see the screen now? No?
No.
All right. I'm going to leave the meeting and have to come back. Sorry, guys. I thought you guys were already.
Well, what I can do is let me share my screen because I got the PowerPoint presentation on my end as well. So let me go ahead and teamwork makes the dream work. Bear with us, guys. Thank you for your patience. We'll get this rocking and rolling.
All right, and while we do this, I want to, again, welcome everybody that just recently joined our presentation. We have Herlin and Todd from AmaWaterways. Herlin is basically our day-to-day contact with AmaWaterways. He's the guy that we call every time we need a special favor or a special something for our clients. He's the one that makes it happen for us. And Todd is the guy that created all the product that we're about to learn about here in this presentation tonight. So Todd is the one that actually negotiated with all this,
Okay, guys.
all these people in Egypt. And now that the presentation is up and running, Todd, please take it away.
Awesome.
All right. Okay, can I go ahead? There we go. Sorry about that. Okay, there's your screen. There's Egypt up on the northeast corner of the continent of Africa, Mediterranean to the north, Red Sea to the east. And pay attention to Israel, Jordan, UAE. Those are extensions that we offer before and after our Egypt program. And down in the left-hand corner, you'll see Abu Simbel with a little plane there. I'm going to talk about that later on in the program. So each secrets of Egypt and the Niles. You start in Cairo for 3 nights, fly down to Luxor, 7 nights on the Nile River, and then back to Cairo for 1 night at the end. Total time of the trip, 12 days. Well, first, we'll talk about Cairo itself. Cairo is a massive city. It's a population of 23 million people. You can see the Amazon River flows through Cairo. The Amazon is 4,300 miles long. They dispute it. Sometimes they say it's the longest river in the world. Sometimes they say it's the Amazon is the longest. Either or, they're both close to 4,300 miles long. Cairo, an Egyptian word for conqueror. And some fun facts about Cairo in general, or Egypt in general. Weekends are Fridays and Saturdays. Egypt was founded back in 3100 BC. And the 365-day-a-year calendar was invented by the Egyptians. The ship we're going to talk about today is our brand new AmaDahlia. It's still in the shipyard in Cairo, and it's kind of like a brand new ship. On the Nile, you're not allowed to bring. No more ships are allowed on the Nile. So the only way to get onto the Nile is purchase an older ship and bring it in the shipyard, strip it down to its hull, and rebuild it. And that's exactly what we're doing with the AmaDahlia. Dahlia is a plant native to Egypt. Our ship, the AmaDahlia, will consist of 34 rooms, 16 suites, and 18 standard rooms. Of course, we'll have this restaurant, upper deck with the pool and so on. And actually, let me go on and I'll show you some of the artist renderings. First thing is the deck. We have 5 decks. We start with the acacia deck, lotus deck, lily deck, and jasmine deck, and then we have the sun deck. The names of the decks are named after plants native to Egypt. Bottom deck, acacia deck, those are the standard rooms, the orange and the yellow, 196 square feet. And then we work our way up. Lotus deck and lily deck, all those rooms either have a French balcony or a full balcony. The suites, 16 suites, some of the rooms are, you can connect if families are traveling together. And then we work our way up to the jasmine deck. You'll see that we do have a chef's restaurant, which is a private restaurant. And each night, 13 to 15 guests will be invited to the chef's table, where a chef will present his special meal and you get to meet with the chef. We'll also have a fitness room, massage room, hair and nail salon, of course the bar. We'll also have a wellness coach on board like we do in Europe. Top deck, bar, and sun deck. And I should point out that we do have an elevator on board all the way from the acacia deck up to the jasmine deck. Here's a shot of our artist rendering of the top deck. And you can see the sun does get strong in Egypt, and temperatures can get warm, particularly during their summer months when we don't sail. So you can see the deck does have a lot of shading up on the sort of left-hand side. And to give you an idea how dry Egypt can be, when I was there last, I met up with one of our Egyptologists. Her name was Dina. And I said, Dina, tell me, when was the last time it rained here? We were actually in Luxor. And she looked at me with a strange-looking face and said, I have no clue, maybe 17 to 19 or 19 years ago. So that tells you how dry the weather can be in Luxor and Aswan down by the Nile. So you've got the pool, and then you can see those circular things on the top deck. Those are showers. This is a rendering of our the atrium, entrance into the Ahmadiyya. And this is our lounge. The lounge is a bar, and basically we will always have a sip and sail like we do in Europe, complimentary happy hour before dinner, like an hour before dinner, and it'll be complimentary wine, beer, or maybe spirits, or maybe a cocktail during the day, and then, or during the happy hour, or cocktail of the day, I'm sorry. And then after dinner, we'll always have nightly entertainment, and we'll do things like a belly dance show, that we'll have a thing called a galabaya party, which is like a costume party where you dress up like the locals. We also have a Darawish show, and this is like folklore music, and you celebrate the cultural heritage of the Egyptians. Here's a rendering of our restaurant. And then in Egypt, lunch and dinner will always include local beer and local wine. And what is local wine in Egypt? Well, it's a combination of, there are vineyards in Egypt, but not enough to produce local wine. And so they import grapes also from South Africa. So the local wine in Egypt is a mixture of South African and Egyptian grapes. We can cater to all different, cuisine, vegetarian, vegan, dairy-free, and so on. You just have to make sure you know. Let us know before you travel or at the time of booking.
I have a quick question while you're
Yes.
Obviously, we're talking about renderings. The ship looks beautiful. Quick question for you: when
Sure.
are we going to have the ship in the water? Like when are there any delays at this point, or can we expect everything to be okay?
Yeah, actually, we expect it to be in the Nile by February. And then we have like 7 months to prepare and everything like that. It's almost actually finished. And actually, I get the official photos in about 10 days.
Oh, wow. Okay, that's great news.
Okay. The meals, again, gourmet meal. We'll have our meals will be designed with our European chefs. A lot of our food will be imported from Europe because of hygiene reasons and so on. And the chef will be European, and it's good gourmet food. Here's a picture of one of our suites. The suites come with 2 beds or 1 bed. We have a sitting room as well as a decent sized bathroom. I'll show you here's the sitting room in one of the suites. And I should also say all our rooms will come with complimentary Wi-Fi and an on-demand TV and of course air conditioning in Egypt. The 16 suites will also come with a full bathtub as well as a walk-in shower. And something that I never realized that was important, but it really is 2 sinks in the bathroom. This is a shot of our category C. This is the middle category, where we come with a French balcony, a good sized room. And this is a picture of our standard rooms, the lowest category on the lowest deck. The rooms are 196 square feet, and they come with a large picture window. Once again, all rooms do have complimentary Wi-Fi and on-demand TV.
And we said the beds can be joined together, right?
Say that again?
We said the beds can be joined together, right?
Absolutely. Just one bed or 2 beds. Yeah, the beds are joined together. No issues whatsoever. I should mention that on the ship, there are only we don't take triples unless it's 2 adults with a child under the age of 10, and they would have to be accommodated in a suite because we have a fold-out couch. In the hotels that we use in Cairo, if it's 2 adults and a child, they'll still only provide 2 beds. They don't have rollaways. So triples with adults, it's not possible on this program. Okay, so basically you're gonna fly from the US to Egypt. The flights into Egypt from North America tend to arrive late afternoon or early evening. We'll meet you at the airport. We'll actually meet you before you go immigration and get you through immigration, get your bags, and we'll transfer you to the hotel. Do you need a visa for Egypt? Yes, you can purchase it online. Try to get it about 3 to 4 weeks before departure. Current cost is $35. Do you need any medication or anything for Egypt? The answer is no malaria and so on like that. But I always say be up to date with your vaccinations. Everybody will get a transfer to the hotel on arrival. You don't need to purchase air through AmaWaterways or anything. You can purchase it yourself or through electric cruise connections. It's everyone gets a transfer. You get to the hotel. Here's the 4 Seasons. It overlooks the Nile. If you look at on TripAdvisor, this hotel is often rated as the #1 hotel in Egypt. If you remember earlier, I kind of said Egypt was Cairo was a large city, kind of chaotic and somewhat. And so our hotel is located like a mile south of the downtown area where it gets pretty crazy. You look to the right-hand side, you can see some trees and stuff like that. Those are the botanical gardens. The hotel itself has complimentary Wi-Fi, fitness center, swimming pool. Sometimes it has a casino, spa, and all our rooms have partial view. Well, I'll show you right now in the next slide. These are our superior rooms. They all have a partial Nile view room. We tend to stay up in the higher section of the hotel. The rooms also come equipped with a Bose entertainment system. And if you know your music systems and stuff, Bose is probably one of the top music systems out there in the marketplace. These rooms are superior rooms, and they range in size from 480 to about 520 square feet. This is a picture of the swimming pool overlooking the Nile. And in Cairo, we always include breakfast and we always include dinner. We include breakfast and we always include lunch, but we don't include dinner. And the reason we don't include dinner, simply because at the hotel here, they have 7 different restaurants, cuisines from all the way down, all around the world. So after a day of sightseeing, we just feel like it'd be better if the guests, we just leave them alone, let them choose what kind of food they like to have, maybe grab some friends and so on. So dinner's not included at the hotel. So basically, you've arrived in Cairo on day 1. We've met you at the airport. We've taken you to the hotel, probably early evening that you arrived. So you go to your room, get a great night's sleep. And then the next day, we're going to head to the Egyptian Museum. And the Egyptian Museum, built in 1902, and this is where you'll find the treasures of King Tut. And King Tut ruled Egypt from 1332 to 1322 BC. The mask you're looking at right there was found in 1925. And so when we go to the museum, we'll tour a portion of the museum, and then you'll have free time. A lot of people ask, well, aren't they building a new museum in Cairo? The answer is yes. It's called the Grand Museum. And that was supposed to be completed last year, but it wasn't done. Then they said this year, not completed, but they're pretty confident it will be open next year. And if we do go to the Grand, if the Grand Museum is open, we will go to that instead. King Tut Treasures will be also at that museum, plus 30,000 additional artifacts they've found that they haven't been able to put in the old museum simply because it was too small. After we spent like a good portion of the morning at the Grand Museum, we're going to head down to the Khan El Khalili market. This market has been around since the 10th century. It's full of artisans and craftsmen and a lot of small coffee houses. And in Cairo, coffee houses have been around since the 1700s, maybe around 1750, 1760. And if you think about it, Starbucks came out in the market, I guess, 1990s. So for the Egyptians to come up with these coffee houses back in the 1700s, I mean, they were way ahead of their game. And also in the coffee houses, great food. And so what we'll do is we'll explore the marketplace and we'll stop at a special coffee house that has gourmet food, and we'll have a beautiful lunch in this coffee house. And then again, we'll head out on the market and we'll visit some of the locals, tour the marketplace. Later on that afternoon, we head back to the hotel and you have a free evening. And then the next day, we're going to head out to the pyramids of Giza. The pyramids themselves built about 2500 BC, about 480 to 500 feet high. These are actually the tallest structures in the world up to the 14th century. And a lot of people ask, can you go inside the pyramids? Yes, they are tombs. So the answer is yes, mostly no. And the reason for that is to get into one of these pyramids, first of all, the tombs are not open all the time. It's kind of sporadic when they are open. And when they do open them up, it's just for a few days at a time. They cost you $25 to go in to see the tomb. A lot of people don't go in the tomb simply because the accessibility is the hallways or the tunnels are very narrow, steep, some stairways, no handle. Sometimes you got to crawl to get in to see the tomb. So most people just don't avoid it, but don't worry about it. We'll visit more tombs down along the Nile. Another question that often comes up is, are there camel rides? And yeah, they are. You can do them at the pyramids. They cost about $15 or $20. Camels aren't even native to Egypt, so we don't really include it, but we know it's iconic. And if you want to do a camel ride, it's about $15 to $20. They ride you around for about 5 to 10 minutes. You get a picture with the owner, stuff like that. Each pyramid consists of anywhere from 2 to 2.5 million pieces of stone. The stones are made of sandstone and granite. Another place thing we'll visit is the Sphinx. The Sphinx is pretty cool. Head is of a pharaoh, body is of a lion. What makes this Sphinx kind of special is that it's actually all carved out of one stone. Probably took them about 3 years to carve that. Pyramids in the background, they took anywhere from 10 to 30 years to build. After we visited the pyramids and the Sphinx, we're going to go have lunch at a place called the Mena House. Mena House is an old hunting lodge built around 1860. And back in the day, hunters from Europe would come to the Nile Delta, stay at the Mena House, beautiful architecture, and they'd go hunt for hippos or crocodiles in the Nile Delta. Obviously, that doesn't happen anymore, but we will visit the Mena House, have a beautiful lunch overlooking the pyramids, and then after the pyramids, we will end lunch. We'll visit a couple of churches and synagogues in Cairo and head back to the hotel where you'll get a good night's rest, nice dinner. Next day, we're going to head back to the airport and we're going to fly down to Luxor. And here's Luxor, an Arabic word meaning fortress. And this is where our ship is. So in the morning, we'll head over to the Cairo airport, fly down to Luxor. It takes about an hour. The planes are on 737s, Airbus type aircraft. Land in Luxor. We'll head to the AmaWaterways. We have our own private dock in Luxor. You'll board the ship, check into your room, get everything settled, have a great lunch on board, and then we'll head over to Luxor Temple. A thing I want to tell you about on the tours of the walking tours of the temples along the Nile. Each tour takes anywhere from 1 hour to 2 hours. And always bring a sun hat, bring good walking shoes. And the way we do it, if you remember I told you the AmaWaterways holds 68 guests. And what we do is we split the groups into 20 to 23 guests, and you get your own Egyptologist from the beginning of the trip all the way to the end of the trip. So 3 Egyptologists will be on board with us, as well as an AMA tour director or cruise director that oversees the Egyptologists, as well as the guests. When we do the walking tours of the temples, everybody will have headsets so you won't miss anything. In terms of anyone that's maybe mobility challenged, or some wheelchair and so on like that, this isn't like the best place to take a trip. A lot of the temples, they are the way they were, built back in 2500 BC. There's no handrails, no ramps, kind of a rocky surface. So if you do have mobility challenges, you wouldn't be able to visit all the temples. Some you will be able to, but a lot wouldn't. So you have to travel with an open mind and realize that you wouldn't be able to see everything. In terms of dress code, dress the way you like on any trip. There's really no dress codes when you visit the temples. One temple I like to point out is this temple of Queen Hatshepsut. And Queen Hatshepsut, I don't pronounce very well. And I asked my friend Magdi in Cairo how to pronounce it better. And he just says Queen Hot Chicken Soup. And that's how we pronounce it, Queen Hot Chicken Soup. She ruled Egypt for about 20 years. And she was one of the longest running rulers of Egypt. First female ruler. Her son took over after 20 years. She was a strong ruler. And you think about it, a female ruler way back then, you know, we think it's a big deal if we get a female president or prime minister or whatever. But back in Egypt, you know, 4,000 years ago, they already had female rulers. And Queen Hatshepsut, she was a strong ruler. If you go to see her statues today in Cairo, you'll find her, she's either bearded or big, broad shoulders. And the reason for that is because they looked at her as strong, similar to like a male. One of the coolest things that we're going to visit is the tomb of Queen Nefertari. This is a rare visit. Very, very few people get to see this tomb. They kind of didn't really start, you know, putting it together and so on. They found back in the 1980s. And Queen Nefertari, first wife of King Ramses, she was considered the most beautiful of his wives. She was well educated. She could read. She could write. She married King Ramses at the age of 13. He was 15. She lived to the rightful age of about 45. King Ramses, they say, some say he lived to 66. Some people say he lived till in his early 90s. In either case, in today's ages, that would be like 200 years old. So, you know, they lived a good long life. The tomb of Queen Nefertari is not many people get to visit, and it's mainly because of its cost. Just to go in, our cost, I'm not gonna, is $130 per person. So cruise companies don't include it simply because they feel like it's too expensive, but we do include it. And it's one of the best preserved, most colorful tombs in Egypt. Very few people get to go in to see it. And when you go inside Queen Nefertari's tomb, you'll find little poems written on the wall by King Ramses, you know, poems and poetry. So it's really a special visit. I put the Temple of Horus into our presentation here, and the Temple of Horus built around 250 BC. But what makes it kind of amazing, it wasn't even discovered until 1860 by a French archaeologist. And he was just digging around in the desert, hit some hard stone. He kept digging. Lo and behold, we have this big temple. And the reason he didn't see it was because this temple was actually preserved under a massive sand dune. So kind of a fun way of how they found it. Okay, here's the Nile River. Sometimes you'll catch it blue, sometimes it'll be muddy. It really depends on the season and so on. But one thing about what you'll notice when you're cruising down the Nile is the Egyptians always said sunrise was the birth of the day, and sunset, they called it the death of the day. And when you're in Egypt, you'll notice that the temples are on the east side of the river, And the tombs are on the west side, sunset, death of the day. And that's why the tombs are on the west side. We'll take a traditional felucca ride in the Nile during our cruise down on the Nile. And this is the way most locals do get around on the Nile. We're also going to visit a Nubian village. And the Nubians are the indigenous of Egypt. They came from the central Sahara around 8000 BC. The Egyptians, that as we know them today, really didn't come into the area until around 3000 BC. And they came over from Rome and Greece and, the Israel area. They came into this part of the world. But the Nubians have been there for about 8,000 years. Most of them lived on the islands and stuff of the Nile in southern Egypt and northern Sudan. The Nubians themselves are famous for their archery, and they're also famous for their colorful homes. And if you look at one of their homes here, see a lot of drawings on it, sketches, shapes, and so on. But there's a story to all these drawings, and the story is the history of their family. It's a typical picture of a Nubian. And if you want to make a comparison, the Nubians would be like the indigenous of the US or Native Americans and the First Nations up in Canada. Same type of concept. And we'll visit a village on the island, and we'll walk around it. We'll visit their market. Other companies do that, different villages along the way, and they'll stay for 45 minutes and then they're back to the ship for lunch and stuff. But we're going to take it one step further. And we're going to stay with the Nubians, and we're going to have a local lunch with them in the village. Abu Simbel. Abu Simbel is a special temple. It's located about 200 miles south of Aswan. And this is an optional trip. And we put this in here just so I can explain the whole thing. Abu Simbel was a temple built by King Ramses, in dedication of Queen Nefertari. Built along the Nile, and it was built in a big rock cliff. Back in the late 1950s and early 1960s, they built the high dam in Aswan. And as they were building the dam, the Nile would rise higher and higher and form this big lake called Lake Nasser. But if the lake was formed as it worked its way up, it was going to cover Abu Simbel. So the government took the temple apart piece by piece by piece, moved it up the hill about 600 feet, and rebuilt it. What makes Abu Simbel really special is on the days of February 22nd and October 22nd of each year, as the sun comes up from the east, the first rays will shine right through that doorway and come out the other end. When Abu Simbel, the first time I saw it was something like how you would see, the first time I saw the pyramids or the Great Wall of China or Machu Picchu, it just is something inside you. And when people on cruise ships on the Nile, they sell it as an optional trip on the Nile, and it's first come, first served. Abu Simbel is about 200 miles south of Aswan, as I said earlier, and the only way to get there for a half-a-day trip is to fly. And the amount of people that get to go see Abu Simbel is based on the number of seats available on the plane that day, or planes. They may have a few. And a lot of people get disappointed that they don't get to go see Abu Simbel because of the limited capacity. But with AMA, now we are going to, you can book at the time you book your trip to Egypt, and we will confirm your seat ahead of time. So you don't need to worry about whether you're going to get a seat on the plane during the cruise. So nobody else does that. We pre-book Abu Simbel. The cost to see Abu Simbel in 2021, $325, and then in $245 in 2022. Why don't we include it? Simply because of the cost. We find that probably about 80% of the guests will want to go see Abu Simbel. 20% would rather have a free afternoon or free morning in Aswan. Here's a look at the inside of Abu Simbel. I put this picture in here of Komombo. Komombo is about 30 miles north of Aswan, built back 330 BC. Dedicated to two gods, Sobek, who was the crocodile god, and Horus, who was the falcon head god. And you can see there are kind of like two entrances into that temple, and one is dedicated to each of the gods. But what makes this temple special is that, because if you remember I said Sobek, the crocodile god, you'll find a lot of mummified crocodiles in the temple or around the temple area. Karnak Temple. If you remember, I said walking tours of the temples take about 1 hour to 2 hours. Karnak Temple is probably the one where you're going to do a walking tour of about 2 hours. It's the largest temple, about 250 acres. It covers just over 2,000 years old. This temple here, the Temple of Hathor in Dendera. Really beautiful temple. It's got some Egyptian, Greek, and Roman architecture in here. They consider this temple as probably the best preserved, over 2,000 years old. Consists of 3 temples and a lot of sacred pools. These are swimming pools. You know, back in 2500 BC, the Egyptians were swimming in pools, and we look at that as, you know, a luxury to today. The Egyptians were way ahead of us with that. Of course, you can't swim in the pools today. You can see that they fill them up with rock. So those are just some of the temples I wanted to point out that we do visit on our 7-night cruise along the Nile. At the end of the cruise, we're going to fly back to Cairo, and we're going to do something a little different once we get back to Cairo. If you go to Europe, often you'll see churches, plazas, so on like that, and they're great. Everybody wants to go see them. Very historic, very beautiful. But by the 7th, 8th, or 9th day, wouldn't it be nice to see something a little different? And that's what we're doing here. You've spent a lot of time exploring tombs and temples and so on. We'll go back to Cairo, fly back in the morning, and we're going to visit what they call the Abdeen Presidential Palace. This was built back in 1873, and this is the home, the official residence of the president. This is also where, when dignitaries come to Egypt, politicians, so on, this is where they stay. The palace itself has several little museums within it. Some of them are really cool, like there's an old clock museum, silver museum. There's actually a museum that, you know, dignitaries have brought as gifts. And so we'll tour a portion of the palace. Of course, we can't see it all, simply because it's private residence also. But we'll also take it a little step further, and we're going to have a lunch at the palace. And we're going to call this a farewell lunch. And the reason we do the farewell lunch is because often companies will do an evening farewell dinner, sort of a party and so on like that. But because the flights on the last day back to North America tend to leave very early in the morning, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, sometimes earlier, a little bit later sometimes, we just felt it was better to give our guests a free evening, you know, rested, packed up, get everything ready for the next day, and take them to the airport on the last day. So we'll have lunch at the palace. This is a look at what it looks like inside. And then after lunch and visiting the palace, we'll visit Old Cairo, which is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. And again, this was really built up back in the 10th century. And then we'll go to the hotel. You have a free evening. Next morning, we'll take you to the airport in time for your flight back to North America. A couple of options that you can do before and after the trip. And the first one I'm going to point out is Jordan. And I'll run through these kind of quickly. 4 nights in Jordan, 2 nights in Amman, 2 nights in Petra. This is Amman, and in Amman, we'll be staying at the St. Regis Hotel. The hotel itself is actually closed right now for total renovation. So by 2021, when we arrive back in September, it'll be a top-notch hotel in Amman. We'll do 2 nights in Amman, very, very old city of 4 million. Statues in the city date back to over 7,000 years old. We'll visit Old Amman. We'll head up north of Amman to visit a place called Jerish, which is settled back around the 2nd century by the Romans, and you can see the Colosseum there as influenced by the Romans. And 2 nights in Amman, and then we'll do 2 nights in Petra. This is the old treasury. Petra has probably been settled since 5000 BC, but it was abandoned back in 2nd and 3rd century. And why was it abandoned? Number one, they had great conduits of water that came down from the mountains. They dried up because of drought. Then there were some big earthquakes in the area. Trade routes changed, and the area was abandoned. And it wasn't discovered again until 1873. Now it's a UNESCO World Heritage Site. This picture you're looking at right here is obviously famous from the movie Raiders of the Lost Ark. So we'll spend a day in Petra at the treasury, and hotel, the old village resort. That's where we're going to stay. You been used to 5-star hotels and service throughout our trip. But in Petra, we're going to stay in a 4-star hotel called the Old Village Resort. And the reason we chose this hotel, yes, there are a couple of international chains like Movenpick and a Marriott, but the Old Village Resort, a 4-star hotel, it's built inside a cliff. You can see the cool kind of rock architecture. Air conditioning, it does come with air conditioning. It's owned by the locals, and they're so local, there's no alcohol served at the hotel. Actually, alcohol in the Middle East is kind of tabooed. This also, because it's owned by the villagers, it's a good way of us supporting the locals. Dubai, 3 nights in Dubai. Again, you can do it before Egypt. Dubai, a massive city, kind of grew out of nothing. The architecture can be remarkable, out of this world, extraordinary, sometimes cheesy, but at the end of the day, it's a really cool place to visit on the Arabian Sea. And the hotel we stay at is the JW Marriott. And again, look at the architecture here. And while we're in Dubai, we will tour Dubai along the waterfront. And actually, I'll tell you a quick story. When I was in Dubai in July once, it was like 118 degrees outside, and I was with our guide there, and I said, I can't take this heat anymore. I said, let's get out of the heat. And he goes, let's go to the mall. I said, I don't shop. I'm not a mall guy. But he goes, we'll go to this mall. So we went to the mall. He said, we'll just have lunch here. But when you walked in, there was an incredible artificial ski slope. And it was really nice and cool. So we put on the skis and we spent the afternoon, about 2.5 hours skiing on this artificial ski slope in a mall while it was 118 degrees outside. So it was kind of cool. And we'll also head out into the desert and do a sand dune tour. We'll have dinner out in the desert. And one other cool thing we'll do, we'll also visit the Grand Mosque in Abu Dhabi, which is about 80 kilometers southwest of Dubai. And this mosque here, we'll tour Abu Dhabi, we'll visit this mosque. It's not an old mosque, built in the 1980s, but the architecture is spectacular. And we visit Abu Dhabi on a Thursday, but if you were here on a Friday, you'd be in that plaza with 40,000 other worshipers. Israel, you can do 4 nights at the end. 4 nights in Israel, and we spend 4 nights in actually Jerusalem. And our trip in Jerusalem is, it's not like we touch a little bit of everything. And like, we'll visit the King David tomb. We'll also visit Bethlehem. We'll visit the Jewish quarter. We'll visit the local market where the locals buy their fruit and vegetables. But if you're a hardcore, if Jewish is your main history and you really want to know everything about it, you're going to go to Israel for 10 days, maybe 2 weeks. Same with your Christianity, the history of Christianity is really important to you. You're going to go to Israel for 10 days, 2 weeks. But so we just touch on a little bit of everything that Jerusalem has to offer. The hotel we use is the Waldorf Astoria, 5-star hotel. And we'll do one other thing that's kind of neat when we're in Jerusalem. Like I said, we're going to touch a little bit of everything. We're also going to visit Masada. It's a Hebrew name meaning strong foundation, built around 30 BC. And this, it's a UNESCO World Heritage Site, and it was the final site of the First Jewish and Roman War. Kind of a place where people, the elite went to escape from general day-to-day life. And look on the left-hand side there, you'll see like a black thing sticking out of the wall, the cliff there. That's a cable car. And so we'll take a cable car up to the top of Masada here, tour around Masada, and then afterwards, take a look at the left-hand side of the top left-hand side. You'll see some water down there. We'll head down and we'll visit the Dead Sea. And Dead Sea is famous for, it's not me, but the Dead Sea is the lowest elevation found anywhere in the world, anywhere from 16 to 1,400 feet below sea level. It's also the salt content of the Dead Sea is a sea where you can't float because there's so much salt. Or you can only float, you can't sink because there's so much salt in the water. So we'll go ahead down to the Dead Sea. We'll have lunch at a beautiful resort. And those that do want to go into the Dead Sea and have a float, you'll have the opportunity to do that. So that's the 4 nights in Jerusalem. At the end, we'll take you back to Tel Aviv, and then you can fly home. And that's my presentation.
Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Amazing, Todd.
Thank you, Todd.
Amazing, 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 amazing. Telling you, this is super, super inspiring. We've been stuck, without being able to travel for so long. This little virtual getaway is really, really
Refreshing.
just go there. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because it's definitely a very unique trip. It's very interesting. It's full of history, full of history. And the one thing that I wanted to point out is, as Todd was saying, some people, if they're going that far, they might want to stay some more time in Israel or in Jordan or in Amman, whatever. I want everybody to know that at Luxury Cruise Connections, we're going to partner with AmaWaterways to take advantage of the cruise and the extensions that they've put together. But if somebody wants to spend extra time in one of those locations, pre or post their cruise, we can most certainly arrange that for you all, very seamlessly. We have, obviously, as a travel agency, we've been around doing this for a long, long time, and our staff, our team they're experts at putting together this very customized and very detail-oriented trips that I know most of you are very much looking forward to when you're going so far away. And so I want to thank Todd very much for this presentation. Very, very inspiring. For those that didn't get an opportunity to hear about this at the beginning of the presentation, this is a two series event where today we're talking about Egypt and the Nile, of course, and the extensions. But also next week we're going to be talking about Africa, and AmaWaterways has this beautiful ship in South Africa. I'm going to say Southern Africa, right? With the Zambezi Queen. And so next week, we're going to be sending an invitation very soon for those who want to join and learn about the Africa or Southern Africa trip that AmaWaterways has to offer. But anyway, today we're talking about Egypt, and I know that some people are going to have some questions. I know some people that have joined us today might have some questions about, health and health concerns or anything like that. But we're also very much looking forward to any questions regarding this experience. It's the experience that AmaWaterways and Luxury Cruise Connections and AmaWaterways can put together for you guys in Egypt. Any questions about Todd's presentation? Any questions about those pre or posts? We didn't want to kind of spend too much time on those pre and post options. So if you guys have any questions specifically about those pre or post options, let us know, and we'll be happy to answer some of those questions. And of course, either now or after on a one-on-one basis. In the meantime, while people get a little bit more comfortable asking questions and so forth, Brenda did ask a question toward the beginning of the presentation. She was asking, she said, I had booked a cruise previously that included going through Suez Canal. We ended up canceling due to concerns about safety. Are there any statistics on whether these are legitimate concerns? We're particularly interested in extension to the Holy Land. I would imagine the concerns that Brenda is talking about are a little bit beyond the most commonly asked questions about health. Do you have anything to say about that, Todd?
In terms of security, we do have plainclothes security with each group. So if from the beginning in Cairo right through on the trip, you'll always have a plainclothes security guard traveling with each group. So if you each coach is broken down into 20 to 23 guests, there's one security guard for each group like that. So yes, we've taken that. The other thing that if you're worried about in terms of security, we do have our own private docks. Again, in Luxor and in Aswan. Yeah, they had a revolution in Egypt back in the earlier in the 2000s, and yeah, that's a place when we didn't go. But Egypt has come back strong now. Tourism is their livelihood. It's a safe destination.
There are no State Department warnings or anything like that for Egypt right now, right?
No, actually, there's the warnings when you look at the countries and stuff. Places like France has a higher warning than Egypt. However, the Sharm el Sheikh the beach resort, there is a warning to do not travel there, and we don't do that. So certain part of the country.
Carlos, may I interject? One of my guests, Donna, said that she was in Israel and Egypt recently, a few years ago, and they had security. And I was there just a few years ago, and just to let Brenda know, I was, a lot of people are sort of nervous and all that. I felt that Israel was maybe the safest place I've ever been to. The security is there and all that, so I would say not to worry because there's people around, security around everywhere.
Right. A lot of people, and I wanna add to that. A lot of people will confuse, well, not confused, but whenever you're thinking about the Middle Eastern region, you're thinking, oh, it's dangerous. The reality is, like Todd was saying, right? There's a lot of countries in the world that have a higher warning in terms of the State Department than Egypt, and then obviously take into account the extra security, right, and attention to security that AmaWaterways is taking into account. Then, obviously we have to realize that the grand majority of AmaWaterways guests are Americans, right? So we have a lot of experience. AmaWaterways has a lot of experience with dealing with Americans and Americans' safety concerns when it comes to Egypt. Is that correct, Todd?
Yeah, sometimes I think we lump Egypt in with countries like Iran or Iraq and stuff, and we hear about those on the news all the time. You don't hear about Egypt on the news. It's it's a different destination, yeah. And yeah, our safety, we're experienced with the whole program.
Something else that I'd like to add is, at the beginning you talked about visas, and you talked about, look, at the end of the day, people are traveling very far, and there's always a lot of questions. I want everybody to know that our partnership with AmaWaterways is amazing, right? And the way we complement this partnership is we have a completely free luxury concierge service that goes along with every reservation that we make. And so every time you make a booking with Luxury Cruise Connections, our concierge department will make sure that we take care of all those visas for you as much as, every single detail that we need to take care of for you as much as we can. So this is kind of the partnership, how the partnership works.
Yeah, absolutely, Carlos. I mean, you guys are a family business. I mean, you guys are known in the business for not only providing that stellar service, customer service for your clients, but also a mutual partnership with Virtuoso. With the Virtuoso partnership, you have extra amenities and incentives you can provide your clients and customers to jump on board. It'd be extra onboard credits, extra savings, and so on. One thing, Todd, we wanted to make sure that everyone here attending this presentation here, there's an exclusive offer that we're going to be sharing with you guys, an additional $100 off per person for any new reservation secured from now up until the end of October. Okay. So again, thank you so much, Carlos, again, for that strong Luxury Cruise Connections partnership you've had. And again, we definitely want to leverage that Virtuoso mutual partnership as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And we love partnering with AmaWaterways precisely because of the fact that you guys, AmaWaterways thinks very, very similar, very similar to how we think and what we believe travel should be like, right? It's all about luxury. It's all about the details. It's all about customization. It's all about making sure clients are happy. And this is also the reason why we wanted to do, put together this event precisely. So it's part of our mission statement, right? We want to be advisors. We want to share with you destinations. We want to be there for you to help, to dream about travel, dream about destinations, but also to help you put it together. And we feel very comfortable and very happy to be doing this with AmaWaterways because we know that every time they would put a client on any of your ships or any of your experiences, they're going to come back extremely happy. They're going to refer their friends, and they're going to bring more business to us.
And Carlos, the fact is that we're a private and family-owned operation and have been since 2002. So being a private and family-owned operation is easy to do business with. And that has a positive residual effect for the clients and our guests when they join us on board. So again, that's a very rare instance in this current environment right now that we're living in to find a true private and family-owned operation. But again, that definitely results in that positive residual effect that you guys have when it comes to experience on our rivers.
I have a quick question for you. At the moment, AmaWaterways has a free air promotion for most of your destinations. Does that apply to Egypt and the Nile?
Not for the exotics. For the European itineraries, we are offering the free airfare on everything European itineraries, anything for the Rhine, Main, Upper Danube, Lower Danube, our three French rivers in France as well. That is carrying over for, again, the 2021 season. And we have a great opportunity for reduced business class airfare starting at $29.99. So again, free economy airfare for the European itineraries in 21, also reduced business class airfare for your clients to take advantage of.
Cool. And then for those that attended today's presentation, we have a very special up to $200 shipboard credit. I'm sorry, savings. It's a discount off of the fare, a certificate of savings up to $200 that you can redeem for your next AmaWaterways cruise, right? But specifically, obviously, you can use it for a Nile experience. Interesting. Out of the people that responded, out of the people that responded in the last poll that Denise put out, we had 17 people in today's event that are very much looking forward to, booking a Nile cruise, which is very, very exciting. And we're here for you. I want you to know that we're here for you. Denise is going to put our contact information in the chat box right now so that you can contact us and email us and let us know that you're interested. Many of you probably have already engaged with one of our advisors at Luxury Cruise Connections, but we're here for you. I want you to know that not only are we going to be able to apply this $200 discount for attending the event, but also we're going to be able to take advantage of whatever prevailing promotion AmaWaterways has in place and some extra goodies and perks that we're going to be able to put together because of our relationship with Virtual. So there's additional perks depending on the date that we're going to be able to add and offer all of our guests when booking through Luxury Cruise Connections on your next cruise.
Carlos, also on that free air, anything when they secure the airfare directly with AmaWaterways as a bundled package, all transfers are built in and included. And now with this new world and current environment with the COVID-19, obviously with the social distancing that we need to adhere of, all of these are going to be private transfers that we're going to be providing for your clients when they secure the airfare directly with AmaWaterways. So again, it's a value proposition. Again, the quality over quantity focus is what we're all about with AmaWaterways.
That is very important, because when somebody's looking to go to Egypt, there's a sea of options out there that people can, that you can take to go to Egypt. But the reality is, if I'm ever going to do this, I think that on an AmaWaterways ship is the right way to do it because it just makes it so much easier, less packing and unpacking, a lot more, obviously are there cheaper Nile River cruises? Yeah, of course there are, but they're not going to be the same quality. They're not going to have the same attention to detail. They're not going to be as private. The amount of people, well, one of the things that I think it's important to mention, which I always like to highlight when it comes to AmaWaterways is, everybody talks about all inclusiveness, but when you have actually the option to choose up to 5 shore excursions in a report, as opposed to just being stuck to the one that is offered for free, that's what I call luxury, right? That's another level of flexibility that we're giving our guests when it comes to all inclusiveness, which is important. I think that the word luxury has to be tied with flexibility. It has to be tied with the opportunity for customization. And
the convenience, what we call, Carlos, the luxury of more personalized options and experiences that your clients can have to really immerse into the cultures as we take them to these ancient lands. So yeah, the convenience and again, the luxury of more for you to really go out there.
I also know that the hotels that you've selected for all those pre and post excursions, they're not cheap hotels at all. These are true 5-star hotels. They're true 5-star hotels. Obviously the Four Seasons it's absolutely the best hotel there is in Cairo. And St. Regis in the post excursion, it's definitely one of the best hotels. The World of Astoria in Jerusalem is one of the best hotels. I mean, you're definitely not going cheap on those options for sure. And there's always a cheaper way to do it, but not necessarily the most recommended one, right?
Well, and again, definitely with those pre and post, we're going to make sure we maintain that consistency with what we're providing with the onboard ship life and experience there to carry on to your pre and the post with the hotels.
I want to open up the mics and give our guests an opportunity to ask any questions that you might have. Don't be shy. We love the interaction. This is why we do this on a Zoom call as opposed to just a flat out webinar. We want to hear from you. We want to hear you out. We want to know if you have any questions about the trip. We want to know if you have any questions about maybe AmaWaterways in general, or maybe about the latest updates on health protocols that maybe AmaWaterways came out with. I know that that's always something on everybody's minds. Todd, you want to say something?
Yeah, I do. I guess we should have mentioned our cruises don't start till September 2021, and they cruise weekly right through to.
About the Nile Egypt cruises don't start until.
Yeah, we don't start. We're not sailing until September of 2021. Our ship will be out of the shipyard in February, and so that's why we have like 8 months, 7 months to prepare and get everything ready. And we're weekly all the way through to June. We don't sail in July and August because it's too hot in Egypt, and then we start up again in September. And just on a personal note, my job all my life, I've been a product director or manager and stuff like that, and I've worked for a couple of companies. And so I read something recently, you're not supposed to say this, but I'm going to say it. So I've been to 88 countries. So that's because that's my job, and it's tiring in some ways. But if I look at all the countries that I've been to, Egypt is in the top 3. I have to tell you that. That's my honest opinion. And if I had to say another country, I would have said Myanmar and maybe Antarctica. But Egypt is, it's always held something inside of me. So.
Of course. It's one of the most interesting ancient civilizations. I mean, it's just so much history and so much. You know, I still have this thing. You know, whether or not we're sure that those pyramids were built by humans. I mean, there's still a question out there, right? Was or was it aliens? Who knows, right?
Well, they could have been. Depends on what you believe in, I guess. So, but I did just recently see it. A lot of the stone came over across the Red Sea on these barges, and they carried. I don't know how they carried them up, but in terms of the pyramids, they had a city of 20,000 workers around the pyramids, and they worked there. They had the housing, where to eat, and stuff like that. And it took them up to 30 years of this village. It's pretty amazing. Maybe there were some aliens in that 20,000. I don't know. So.
That's amazing. Okay, so in general, AmaWaterways, as a company on a worldwide basis, has a general hold on sailings till December. Is that correct?
We've actually announced up to November 30th with their suspended season. I mean, folks, we're so anxious, to get back and do what we do best. And I say to my partners and my colleagues, we're one day closer to this official nightmare to be over. We're still holding out hope, in fact, to be back till the tail end of this year for December for what is the Christmas markets itineraries. Those wonderful itineraries from Budapest to Nuremberg, Nuremberg to Budapest, the wonderful itineraries there for the Rhine. So again, we haven't made the official announcement of full suspensions for the season because, again, we're holding out hope that we, in fact, will be back doing these river cruise experiences till the tail end of the year. But very remiss if I don't share with you that, in fact, we're the first and only U.S. river cruise operator to resume European operations this past July. So like Carlos mentioned before, 95% of our clients and guests are North Americans. So with the startup of the season right now, in fact, is a European tour operator called Ehoy, who's chartered out the award-winning Ama Cristina and now the Ama Sonata, doing the 5-day intervals up and down the Rhine. So again, we're not only talking the talk, we're walking the walk when it comes to fine-tuning these important safety and health protocols for our ships and for our guests. And I'm happy to say a lot of success with this ramp-up start of our season, with the majority of these guests being German nationals, French nationals, and Austrian nationals. With this new world, the capacity of these vessels were very intimate already at 155 total guests. Now we're sitting at 75 to 85 total guests as we navigate through. But again, we're very proud, and we can't wait to officially welcome back all these North American guests for what is the startup of our season, either in March or for the tail end of this season now for the Christmas markets, Carlos.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you for sharing that. And I want to be very respectful of everybody's times. We're not, we're not rushing to go anywhere. But I do want to be respectful of Todd. I know Todd is a very, very busy man, and Herlin as well. Herlin not as much, right?
Well, you guys keep me busy, so thank you. Bring it on. Thank you.
Good. But I do want to allow for, an opportunity for you all to, share your thoughts. I see Donna she's very focused on our presentation today. Donna, do you have any questions for us? Anything you want to share? Let me unmute you. You want to unmute yourself? There you go.
Were you talking to me?
Yeah. Yeah.
My daughter delivered my groceries to me, so I had to leave for a moment there after it was at the end. So I apologize.
Did you enjoy the presentation? Do you have any questions for us?
Fascinating. So let me get this straight. The first time we can go is next year at the end of the year, or no, it's 2022.
For Egypt, the season starts September. First official sailing, Todd, correct? September 3rd, right? September 3rd.
Yeah, first week of September.
First week of September for our Egypt program. And then for our or what is our European itineraries, we normally start in March for what is the Tulip Time itineraries, then continue with the Enchanting Rhine experience, also for the Danube. So again, for the Europe itineraries in March, but for our exotic program here for Egypt, September of next year.
What about Africa?
In Africa, well, we actually, right now, we're scheduled to start at the end of March. We'll see how it goes. And then, but that's just the way things have been. It's just too soon. South Africa just opened up their borders, not to us, but to most countries. And we'll just have to monitor it over the next 2 or 3 months and see how it goes.
I'm waiting for my daughter to sell her dental practice. It's been for sale for a year, and she's had people offers, and then they fell through. People don't qualify. It's only $500,000. Would you need a general practice dentistry? Know anybody?
I don't know.
And then we can go together.
Todd or Harlan, can we give our guests a little bit of an idea of the starting price for an Egypt experience?
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Todd, you want to take this one? Or
Oh, sure. Yeah. Starting price, including the 12 nights, the cruise, and the air within Africa, before any discounts and so on. Lowest category, $5,200 per person. That's it. No port taxes or anything like that.
Okay, great.
in mind you also with that 5,200 starting point, it's an all-in product. It's not where you pay a price point and get nickel and dime when you're on board. It's an all-inclusive bundled experience when it comes to the AmaWaterways cruise.
That's luxury.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Convenient. Yep.
And let me interact a little bit more here. Linda, Jean. Hello, Linda. How are you?
Hi, Linda. Thank you, Donna.
Hello, this is Linda.
How you doing, Linda? Did you enjoy the presentation?
I did. I had to, unfortunately, had to come in a bit late, so I didn't get the first part of it. But I think I probably got the best part. So it looks very interesting to me. So I appreciate you putting it on. I don't really have any questions at this time.
Okay.
I think most everything that I would have a question about, you all answered with regard to security. That would probably be the biggest question I had.
Okay.
Good stuff. And we're going to be sending the presentation via email to everybody.
Okay.
So in case you watch the video. Okay. And let's see who else wants to maybe unmute yourself and share something with us. How about Jean? I have two Jean Stokes, so I don't know which one is the more vocal one of the family. Let me unmute you. Go for it. How you doing? Did you like the presentation?
Sorry, it was a great presentation. Enjoyed it. I do have a brief. What would we be able to spend money on the boat, or we call it a boat or a ship?
The ship, yeah.
On the ship, when you're on board, what could you spend money on?
I'll answer that. There'll be a gift shop. There'll be a massage, nail salon. You want to get your nails done? There also, like alcohol, there's a, in the bar, besides, beer and wine at dinner and lunch and the happy hour, there's that. And then in the gift shop, won't be a big one, but they will sell costumes in there if you want to come to the Galabaya party one of those nights. So,
Belly dancing.
or the belly, yeah, if you want to join the belly dancers. Yes, exactly.
Got it.
Or a
Thank you.
sun hat, because
Great
it's,
question, Gene. And also with anything that's out of pocket expense, like I mentioned earlier, the mutual partnership we have with Luxury Cruise Connections Virtuoso, there's onboard credits that can help you in offsetting these type of costs on board the ship as well. Okay, so just remember, working with our partners here at Luxury Cruise Connections, aside from the amazing service they provide, the value with the amenities that can also extend to you.
What about gratuities? What's gratuities?
Todd, gratuities. What are we looking at as far as gratuities? I know it's a
Right.
popular question. We're getting a lot of.
I didn't want that. Right now, if you had you can purchase gratuities in advance, and it sounds high, $430 per person for the whole trip. But you have to realize that includes the 7-night cruise, the 4 nights in Cairo, the Egyptologist, the local transportation to get to the temples and stuff, as well as the AMA tour director. That's with you from day 1 through to day 12. And the Egyptologists are with you from day 2 through day 12.
Okay, that's good. That's important. And then that's also something that we can use the onboard credit that we're offering on most bookings.
Absolutely.
On the gratuities.
Absolutely.
What about shore excursions that may not be included? Are there any special
Well,
shore excursions that might have an additional cost?
Maybe. Well, it's really to your choice. And I could have mentioned this, like they have these temple shows, light shows, Karnak, Aswan, even at the pyramids. We don't include them simply because you got to leave at about 4:30. You don't get back to about 8 o'clock. A lot of guests want to have their dinner at 7 o'clock or whatever at a set time. So we'll offer it as an optional if they want to go. And those costs range anywhere from $25 to like $45 to go see a light show. Not too expensive. And then there's the camel ride if you want to do a camel ride.
Yeah, Carlos, and it's kind of consistent with what we offer in Europe with our what we call our special interest tours. Because on our European itineraries, we offer up to 6 complimentary excursions at each of the destinations you visit. But then there is that 1% we call special interest tours. For example, if you're in Vienna, want to visit the Schönberg Palace for a nice opera and dinner, nominal cost of $20 to $25 for that. Avignon and that Lyon Provence experience on the Rhone. Want to dig for some black truffles, bring those black truffles on board, have the master chef prepare them for you. Nominal cost there for that special interest of $20 to $25. So that's a carry, again, a kind of consistent feature we have. Also carrying over from Europe over to the exotic there for Egypt. And these are called, again, the special interest tours.
Great, great. Excellent. Well, I'm going to start, unless anybody has any other questions, I wanna allow Todd and Herlin to kind of get back to their duties. I know Todd is in the best.
We're going to keep talking about travel. You know, there's a lot of pent-up demand right now.
I'm good. I'm good.
Okay.
I enjoy doing this. This is at the end of the day, this is what has kept us alive for all this time. This last several months for the travel industry, for the travel agency industry have been extremely tough, right? But the one thing that has kept us alive is this passion that we have about travel, right? And how strongly we feel about our true mission and why we do what we do, which is to, be here for our clients and make their travel dreams come true. Absolutely. So no, absolutely. We want to continue to answer any other questions if anybody else wants to participate, and we'll be happy to. By the way, I know many of you might have been contacted via the private chat by one of our advisors. Feel free, anybody that you deal with at Luxury Cruise Connections is going to be an amazing travel advisor. We only have the best of the best in our company, and so feel free to chat with them, interact with them, and ask questions. But also in the chat box, there's my direct contact information. So feel free to send me an email, call me. I'm always available to talk to our guests. I'm always available to, jump in a phone call and talk about travel and make this special little things happen for our guests. So, feel free to feel free to do so. That's what we do. We love doing that. And
Carlos, also, and I think in addition to our love and passion for this, also thank you all of these clients and guests that actually joined us this afternoon, because I feel that it's innate in all of us as human beings to continue to explore the world and make those human connections. So again, that's what we're doing here today in a virtual environment, and I have a very positive and optimistic feeling that we're going to get back to the physical environment sooner. I mean, a new world, obviously, with social distancing in play, but again, it's innate in us to always continue to explore and make those human connections around the world. So again, thank you all for being here with us.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you. And again, I hope to see many of you next week on our Africa event. Very much looking forward to it. It's going to be as fun or even more fun than the Egypt one. A lot of inspirational images, but most importantly, a lot of educational content from Todd. So we can learn a lot about Africa and get excited about going to Africa hopefully soon. And with that, I'm gonna say goodbye to everybody. Thank you very much for joining us and being here with us. And
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Stay positive, stay safe, and most importantly, stay healthy, guys. We'll see you next week. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Carlos. Thank you, team. Stay safe, guys.